Hey Al, hey. I want to ask you a question. Great. Let's see who else joins. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I'm in a new space in case anyone has not noticed in my previous videos. Some of you may have noticed and some of you may have not noticed, and that's going to play into actually a lot of what I want to talk about today in terms of us creating our own personal reality. Now guys, I've hopped on today to do a live, and I want to keep this fairly informal because I did post a video earlier in the week about this exact topic about free will and manifesting specific person, or in fact actually manifesting anything in your reality, which I'm going to talk about today. Hello Darren. Which is essentially that everything on the outside is a reflection of us and our personal reality and our perceptions. So that's why I pointed out that some of you may not notice that I'm in a new space and some of you may. Tulsi, woohoo, love seeing you on the lives. Thank you, Jessica. Cool, Darren. Oh my God, caught alive, so cool. I love that you're all joining. I actually wasn't sure whether this is a good time for some of you guys. And by the way, I want to do a little bit more of these, and I want to keep these more informal. I did, like I said, post a video earlier this week about this specific topic where I was talking more about the theory, but I want to start using lives to, you know, shoot the shit with you guys, do more one-on-ones, do some questions and talk about more practical application or why things roll out in a certain type of way in your day-to-day versus like sending you off on lectures and whatever. So basically what I was pointing out about my space, yeah, love your insights. Thank you guys. Fabulous to see you too, Miss Psychic D. Oh, I love you guys so much. 7 a.m. in Sydney, having my coffee. Oh, I've had a few of those coffees today. I love my coffee. All right, guys, so what I was going to tell you, there's a reason why I'm so passionate about doing this specific topic, and why not just did I post a video, but I wanted to do a live and really like unpack it for you guys. For those of you that are new, and I don't think there are many, I think most of you already follow me, but you do know that I like to integrate both law of assumption and tarot, and I do see that a very common narrative in the tarot community, less so in the spiritual law of assumption community, is this whole idea about like you're taking free will away from people when you're trying to manifest people, right? And I want to use these lives from now on, guys, also to address certain things and themes that are coming up that I think are roadblocks to you really getting what you want. Thank you, Mariam. That's very sweet of you. And so it's a concern of mine because I really want to take away any guilt or shame in you guys applying the law, manifesting, because guys, if you haven't caught the video that I posted essentially, or any of the other live streams that I've done before, or even the way in which I read tarot normally, I always explain to you guys that you're the operant power and that you're always manifesting. And basically, you know, everything on the outside is a reflection of you. So you're not really manipulating anyone. And I have spoken in previous live streams as well about states of consciousness and infinite versions of you and infinite versions of a specific person. And I touched on that in this week's earlier video that I did. Now, coming back to why I started about why maybe you've noticed I'm in a different space or you haven't. Let's take it away from a specific person just for 2 minutes, and then I'm going to get to specific person. No one in your reality has free will, and the reason being, like, for example, I am myself and I have complete control of my reality, right? So I'm waking up every single morning and my morning is dictated by the version of me that I'm being, right? And that's going to come down to my thought, you know, my thought patterns, my cognitive, if we want to take it away and get back to like the skeptic, and then guys, I'm going to go all the way out to the parallel realities, right? But for the skeptic, okay, and even a psychologist is going to talk to you about cognitive bias. I'm going to pick up certain things in my reality. I'm going to attribute certain meanings to certain things. I'm going to have a certain experience, and it's going to be totally dictated by the version of me that I'm being, right? And the version of me that I'm being is different to the version of you that you're being, right? And each of us, though, we are one consciousness, okay? And we are all connected. we are still individual expressions of that, and we are sort of on a program, right? Like 90 to 95% of our experience is dictated by unconscious programming to a certain extent. Now, when we become conscious of that unconscious programming, we can start to change what we are focused on. And I've spoken about this in previous lives as well with Naya, if you guys have caught it. But basically, everything is focus dependent. So my reality every single day is going to be different to any of you guys watching. Okay, now when things are showing up in our physical reality, and we're going to get back to SP and the way they behave, or the meanings that we're attributing to certain behaviors, or even when it's like extreme and it's obvious. Okay, so not just subtleties, guys, but like when we have extreme experiences, it's really coming down to maybe a build-up of certain thought patterns or a version of us that we're being, that's being reflected or projected outwards, consciously or unconsciously, right? And a lot of the time it is unconscious. Okay, now the truth of the matter is, I've spoken about this many times, there's infinite versions of us, and there's also infinite versions of a specific person, because if you can think about it, Talsi's experience with a certain in a certain area of life, or with a certain specific person, or any person in her reality, or even what she's globbing onto on the daily. Where is my focus? What am I noticing? What am I reacting to? What are my five senses picking up, and where are my thoughts going, is going to be very individual to me. Now, when it's unfavorable, some circumstances with people, it's going to be unfavorable, and with other people, it's going to be very favorable. If I have a certain subconscious story, and guys, it doesn't even have to be like some of you have a blanket subconscious story that now we want to maybe make conscious. If you're seeing recurring patterns show up, like, you know, in your dating life, like, you know, you might have a subconscious story that people leave, or the ones you want don't want you, or whatever. I'm not even sending you off now to tell you that you need to unpack this endlessly, but some of you, you know, it might just be in relation to a specific person, your specific person, whatever. So what I'm trying to explain to you guys basically in a roundabout way is that everything in your current reality is really dictated by you, your perception, and your perception is linked to who you're being, the version of you, and everyone in your reality is you pushed out. No, they do not have free will in your reality. They don't have free will in your reality in terms of what you assume to be true about them. I may have a very different assumption about a person than you do. Why? Because they are reflecting back to you something within yourself, okay? So the reason why I wanted to do this is, obviously I do see, it's very common in the tarot community to because, and no diss at all to tarot readers, but tarot tends to focus very much on one linear timeline and version of circumstances that are unfolding, and neglects to say, well, look, your experience is you pushed out. It's a projection of like one version. The circumstances are something that you have unconsciously like selected. Okay, so even if we talk about, say, not just the specific person, right? What are you selecting on the daily, wherever your attention and your focus is going? And sometimes this is very unconscious, guys, like who you are being. What are you paying attention to on the daily? Why did I point out some people would notice that I've moved and some people wouldn't? Some of you, you have a different way of directing your focus, okay? So we need to start being more conscious of what we are paying attention to. If we are having experiences with certain, exactly, T-Rose Revolution, yes, wavering, I'm having difficulty with it. I will post a replay, okay? Sorry guys, I'm gonna get my spiel out of the way, and yes, I'm gonna come back to questions, so I'm sorry. So whatever we are focusing on, guys, and that is completely within our control, okay, is going to dictate our experience. Now, I'm not telling anyone that you need to have a perfect self-concept, all right? That's for another time, and I've touched on that with lives with Naya, okay? So none of you, first and foremost, you're manifesting all the time, so fuck it, right? Like, you don't need to have a perfect self-concept for your specific person to change. They do not have free will, though, if you have an assumption that they're going to be a certain way. Now, some of you, and I've unpacked this in previous videos, some of you would say, I didn't assume that they're going to be a dickhead. Okay, but the truth of the matter is, if you can fully grasp the fact that you're not completely aware, if 90, and this is where we can go, even the skeptic, okay, science is supporting the fact that 90 to 95% of our outer reality, and I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I even like the way Sammy Ingram has explained this, and she is like the queen when it comes to manifesting, but like marrying also into science. The subconscious mind, it's like a printer. So your outer reality, which again is very changeable, okay, once you start feeding it new thoughts and you start shifting your observation regardless of your senses, because that's yesterday's story, your subconscious mind's like a fucking printer. It's just going to bring you what you assume to be true, or your beliefs that are embedded there, okay? And again, we don't know, sometimes it can be as extreme as, you know, the way in which you have been, like you could have had trauma, you could have had experiences, people have told you things over and over again and you have a story connected to that, or you know, even you meet a specific person and you've never had a certain experience. God knows what the amalgamation of things are that's in your subconscious suddenly, that you have a story and they're projecting it. That specific person could project it. Now, regardless, who gives a shit, guys? The main point is, I'm a reader and this is definitely true. Yeah. So the main point is, guys, who gives a shit, okay? We don't need every single time that a circumstance comes in or a specific person says or does a certain thing that we don't like to then say, oh God, I need to go and reprogram entirely my whole version of being. All we need to do is understand, okay, look, things might pop up in circumstances, but I don't really need to give them much weight. Maybe there is something that's been projected out by that specific person, and there's subtleties, okay? Your thoughts are creating your reality, and your thoughts are connected to your subconscious, okay? So, and your awareness, and sometimes that can come from repetitive outside sources, and then it becomes embedded as a truth. So it doesn't always have to be trauma, and sometimes it's just like you can have a great experience with a person and then some unconscious fear, for whatever reason your thoughts start shifting. This is why we all have different experiences. I'm coming back to what I was saying earlier, okay? Your cognitive bias. So Mary blogs okay, has a totally different experience, has no assumption that anyone would ever, like if she goes on a great date, she doesn't go away and a guy doesn't text her for a day and she's thinking he might not like me, because she feels everyone always likes her and that guy's going to call her the next day and say, hey, I had a great time with you and I've been busy at work. And then Jessica Simpson, picking up any name, right, guys, has filled in a gap because suddenly there's a fear that's kicking in and her thoughts are going in a certain direction, okay? Now, we don't need to be scared of our thoughts, and we don't need to go every single time and deep dive and shadow work into every reason why a shitty thought pops up or why a shitty experience pops up. And I say it always in my readings, guys, and the way that I read, okay? Like, that's why I read the way that I do. And I know sometimes people can get a bit, you know, why I talk round in circles when I'm saying this is how someone feels about you and this is why this is what you feel about them. Yes, it's true. They're not fucking robots, guys. So this is the other thing tying into this topic about, like, are you manipulating people or messing with their free will? You're not. They have their own thoughts, okay? But you're also, when you change and you shift, it's a completely different energetic dynamic between you and them. And not just that, let's go into the parallel reality theory, which again, guys, I always tell you, you're going to need to test the stuff that a lot of us coaches talk about, because there's infinite examples of people that have been able to, by a shift in focus and assumption, about a person and a situation have completely turned something around. And I personally have seen people do a 180 on me, whether it's strangers also in my physical, like again, if we're talking about cognitive bias, if we're talking about the experiences that we are creating, or rather selecting, because creation is finished. So anything that you want that pops into your mind, the preferable thing, also the unpreferable thing, anything that pops up that you're paying attention to is going to start crystallizing into your reality. So I've tested this, guys, and you need to test it, right? So it's like, you know, wake up in the morning and just, if some, you know, start picking things that you want to focus on, make it, you know, and sometimes it doesn't even need to be as much as like repetition is key with things where you have an assumption already that is contrary to what you want, because an assumption is something that's probably been repeated or has been shown to you. Say like you have a specific person, they projected something that's really triggering. It probably shows that you have some kind of an unfavorable belief. A belief is something that's become ingrained. Joe Dispenza even talks about this. What is a belief? It's like something that's been repeated until it turns into a belief, essentially. So it might be hard for you to believe to the contrary, okay? Or if you've had a repetitive cycle with a specific person, it might be very hard for you to say logically, and again, this isn't necessarily logical, because again, all things exist at once, but you've unconsciously selected that experience, right? Somehow within your consciousness, your subconscious, whatever. So, but some things you will find that there's not really much of a dissonance between your logic and your subconscious mind. So where your focus is going to pop up in your reality really quickly. And even that, you could argue, is like you've made that decision, you've had that thought, now you shifted into that reality where that is true because you assume it as fact. Like I could wake up in the morning and pick something completely random and say it a number of times, and a stranger might come up to me in the street and say exactly the words and parrot it back. Now with your specific person, you're not fucking controlling them. All you're doing is you are selecting a different reality and making new assumptions about them, okay? How you see them, how you perceive them to see you, etc. You know what they say about assuming, it just makes an ass out of you and me. Yeah, like, well, why not assume good than shit, guys? That's the other thing, you know. The other thing that I wanted to address, because you guys know that I like to marry in LOA and manifesting and tarot. It's such a common narrative in the tarot community because people are forgetting that it can also be programming watching tarot, right? Like, so when it's positive for some reason or another, people say, oh, you're making me delulu. And then when it's shit, people love to reinforce that they have the shitty story, right? So yes, they're a liar, they're a narc, they're this and that. Now guys, I'm not victim shaming anyone. And the other thing I want to say to you guys is if someone is saying something that's hurtful or mistreating you or breadcrumbing you or all of these different things, or you get someone that's a player or non-committal or not giving you what you deserve, like you need to know your worth and your value. But it's again, what meanings are we attributing to things? And it has popped up in your reality. Again, you must fully accept that you are the power and the creator of your reality. For some reason, you've unconsciously selected that version of the situation. Mary Blogs or whoever I said earlier might never have had that experience or might never have reacted to that experience in the same way. Okay, so it's like, you've got to start changing the way in which you perceive a person, in the very least. Forgetting the self-concept, guys, because like I said, you do not need to have a perfect self-concept. You're manifesting all the times. There's things where and this is the other thing also why I don't want to sit here and use these lives to lecture you. There's plenty of coaches that are going to give you like books to read and the theory, and I encourage you guys to do that because it's going to reinforce to you the law and an understanding of the law. But like the truth is, in practical application, for example, I don't necessarily think you need to follow things to a T. If I recommend to you, okay, this is Neville Goddard's theory or this is Joseph Murphy's theory, I'm not saying to you, okay, take that now as the letter of the law. Like, been applied in lots of different ways, and there's practical applications. So like, for example, feeling is the secret, or I think this in the law of attraction community has kind of also been a little bit misconstrued. You don't even need to feel good all the time or put yourself in the feeling of being rich or someone saying something. How would it make you feel? It's like, when we're talking about law of assumption, guys, what is natural to you? So if you're in the habit of naturally thinking your specific person shows up like a, I can't say the CUNT word, though I'm Australian, that's quite common. If you are in the natural assumption, or they have shown up in a certain way as a projection from one state of consciousness, one version of you in a moment, which by the way, you can shift in a moment as well, then, you know, we don't need to stay stuck in the idea that you need to feel that how it would be if they were different, but you do need to feel that it's natural to you that that person shows up differently. And that's why we do repetition, etc. Because it might not, your logic mind's going to say, no, but they said that, they did whatever. So we need to stop taking so much our circumstances, which by the way are a momentary pushing out of something in our consciousness, okay? We need to stop taking them as fixed, and then we need to say, okay, in every single moment, once I've made a decision, no, it's like this, literally, but you need to do that with conviction, or you need to do that with repetition where that's natural, okay? So this is where, you know, Joseph Murphy and Neville Goddard say decree a thing, basically. So that's with the conviction. That's not forcing the twat version, the crappy version you don't want. You're not staring at them and going, you will say this. So coming back to the topic of you're not controlling or manipulating anyone, you're going, oh, that was a projection of something and I created it, so fuck it, right? So now I'm just going to say, okay, I decree a thing. Well, actually, no, this is how they are. And that's when they're going to conform, because you have to, the assumption is natural, okay? Well, Elena, what did you do differently to see changes anymore? We were in no contact for almost 8 months and I was affirming and thinking about him all the time, wavering too. Will the replay be available? Yes, Josh, it will. Set and forget. Well, Darren, set and forget is an interesting thing, okay, guys? You don't need to set and forget. Everything is coming down to what you assume and what you believe, guys. And I think this is also coming back to what I said, why I don't like in the tarot community, it's bad karma to manifest a person, you know, you're interfering with free will. I don't care about divine timing, and anyone that knows me regularly knows how I read every time divine timing is a theme in a reading. I will specifically say to you, well, if you believe in divine timing, then it's a thing. Now, set and forget. It is detachment, but what is detachment, guys? You can fixate on a thing as much as you want, but if you know you're God of your reality and everyone is you pushed out and everyone is your mirror and you have the ultimate control, nobody has a say in terms of what you assume to be true about them or how they perceive you, right? Then you can focus on that all fucking day if you want, or you can say set and forget. You can make a decision in a moment. You know you're already in the reality where it's fact. Okay, but it's about your state. Are you being the version of a person that knows that that is who they are and that's what you get? Or are you in the version of a person? The set and forget thing, guys, I think has also been misconstrued. It's like the law of attraction thing that's been misconstrued, where it's like, I need to vibrationally align and feel a certain way and all this kind of stuff. Like, it just... Set and forget. If you find that you are thinking about a person, and I think this is what happens when you're focused on an old version of a person, what they did, and you think you're manipulating them, that's when set and forget comes in, because you also then start having guilt. You start thinking, oh, if I obsess about them too much, then they're going to think about me weirdly, or I'm doing the wrong thing. It's a program as well. We need to really stop bullshitting ourselves about, okay, like, what is feeling funny right now. It's not because the outside is wrong or what my desire is wrong. It's something within me that's feeling out of alignment. And that's something to do with a belief that is contrary to what I desire. So the specific person that you desire, whatever you keep repeating or where your focus is, it's not because you're hoping and wishing that it's going to come into fruition. It already exists because creation is finished. Every possible variation of you and another person exists. There's also, and now again, we're coming down to multi-world theory, parallel realities, guys, but like there's a version of you that never met that specific person. If you're dealing with a person with a third party, this is where we go into like, are you interfering with their free will and are you breaking people up? Well, if that's your fucking belief, well, you're on one timeline and you believe that you're breaking someone up. There's also infinite parallel timelines where, and test it, guys, because you can go online and see infinite people that have talked about circumstances, also revision, people coming in and being completely different, third parties disappearing altogether. And it's not because you're ruining people's lives. It's theoretically, there's another timeline where that person is still, that they have their free will within a reality that's separate to your reality, if that makes sense, guys. Watched all your manifesting replays this week. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to his place tonight. Amazing. It's a giant step as he used to be protective of his... See? Manifested, Elena. We catch up to the desired timeline. Well, yeah, the desired timeline is there. All things exist, all timelines. Okay, guys, going back again, at least in the very least, if you want to be scientific, okay, quantum theory, right? But like if we think observation dependent, whatever is collapsing in your physical reality right now has come from some level of observation, right? Like it's where you have been putting your focus, which is why I'm trying to tell you guys, if things are showing up, even in a moment that are shit, okay, why don't you just change your focus? Don't focus on what you don't want. Now, this is where, like, I've talked about this so much in lives and shorts and things and with Naya, and I do explain this, it's hard sometimes to combine the tarot with the techniques, but I always wrap it up where I'm guys like, I say fuck it in a bucket, guys. I'm like, whatever they're thinking and feeling, it's real in that moment, in that version of reality, but you don't need to accept it as true. And the circumstances may have collapsed in your physical reality, but also don't need to be accepted as true, because observation dependent, things will disappear, things will shift and mold depending on what you are observing. All versions exist already. Exactly, Linda, exactly. Do they work hand in hand? Okay, well, what I would say is there's infinite versions, but there's also infinite like combinations and amalgamations, right, guys? So think about this. Sure, there are people that can quantum shift and see their timeline fast and furiously. I mean, like complete shifts, which you would call a miracle, okay? And do your own research into this, and people aren't crazy and lying. There's enough people that have actually said, okay, look, I've manifested something out of thin air. This seemed impossible and it's done. But let's talk about it almost like when we talk about shifting realities. As soon as you have made a decision, okay, just say you say, that specific person lives on the other side of the world, told me to fuck off, blocked me, has a wife or a husband, whatever it is, but you said mine. They want me, but it feels natural. It's an assumption. You've already shifted into that reality. Now, your present moment, like just say this were me, this room looks exactly the same right now, okay? Let's say, but you're not cognizant of, and this is what Neville Goddard said, he said whether one or millions of people have to move, you get your manifestation. It's done, it's decided. You're not cognizant of that, the fact that you've already shifted into another reality. Now, there's infinite ways that can come to you. And this is where we don't need to think about, it's not about controlling or micromanaging every fucking detail and then doubting it and then keep looking back and going, okay, Talsy just said that she has it, and then looking around, she's like, why isn't it here? It's that knowing and the belief that it's there. Now, infinite things are happening that you're not cognizant of. Again, your perception. So you need to be in the perception or the assumption of a person that has whatever the fuck you want, that thing. Now, you don't know immediately. Things are unfolding. You're in a reality where things are unfolding in a certain type of a way. That can come tomorrow. That person could call you tomorrow and it's like, oh, the person that you thought they were married to on the other side of the world, they'll be like, what are you talking about? Like, no, we broke up after a day. Or they'll be like, hey, actually, I'm splitting up with that person. I've been missing you. Or you could go to a coffee shop in your town and you thought they were across the world, and then suddenly they're there. You run into them, or you run into their best friend who knows that you two had a thing, and they're like, hey, by the way, so-and-so called me yesterday and asked about you, and that's movement as well. Do you see? So manifesting is very perfect and natural, and you don't need to worry so much, but there's infinite ways in which things are playing out or could play out, okay? We're also in multiple dimensions all at the same time, 100%. 100%, Darren. Hi Leia, happy to catch. Oh, thank you. Hi Anna. I know guys, I talk and I miss the comments, so I'm sorry. I want to try to answer some specific questions. Also guys, yeah, I have started a membership thing, but it's very it's the first tier membership thing. What I want to do, and why I also wanted to come on this live with you guys, I'm reworking my whole schedule from next year onwards, and I want to do more and more content for you guys and more lives, and I want to make my membership channel more about, I'm going to of course continue to do tarot because I love doing it, guys, and I'll never stop loving tarot, but I want to do more deep diving into some of the stuff that I don't get to do when I'm reading. I'm going to do a membership lives and specific Q&A sessions there where we can go a little bit deeper into that. But I'm still going to make a lot available for you guys here on the channel. How many affirmations I need to do daily? Whatever the fuck you want. Now, listen, you can go and have a look. There's lots of suggestions. The affirmations are not the secret sauce, guys. I've said this so many times. However, they do help you to get into the state that is natural for you to have what you want, okay? Now, some people say it's as easy as embedding a belief when I affirm something once. I get it. Others like visualization. Others like robotic affirming. If you watch Sammy Ingram, she loves robotic affirming. I personally don't like robotic affirming, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work for you. I would say some coaches say, oh, stick to only 3 affirmations because those affirmations encompass the end, right? He wants me or she wants me, they love me, we're together. Maybe that's enough for you. Maybe doing that, for 5 minutes a day or 10, whatever it is. Repetition is key, guys, but the reason why repetition is key, and by the way, sometimes repetition for me has not been key in areas where it's not a big deal, which shows your thoughts are creating your reality, because my subconscious and my conscious don't have any disagreement. I'll just wake up and I'll say, this is what it is, and it pops up very quickly. But for others of you, you might have, like I said, resistance because you already had some kind of an experience collapsed in one version of reality where, it was undesirable. So now your logic mind keeps trying to jump back to that version. So affirmations, it might just be whatever feels natural. What I don't recommend with affirmations ever, and this is why I'm always trying to emphasize to you why you're the power and how to put this into application with the understanding that you're the power, is to sit here and look at the old version of the reality or the unpreferable version. And again, this is marrying into this very topic of this video. We're not sitting here, let's take example, which is quite common, we're not sitting here with person with 3P or fuck boy or fuck girl, and we're going, if I sit here and it doesn't feel nice, so if I sit here and robotically affirm, and I'm looking at that fuck boy or fuck girl, if I affirm millions of times a day, they're going to turn around and not be a fuck boy. Okay, True, you need to change your assumption, okay, but you understand that it's a state. So what you're doing is you don't need to fight the mirror. What you need to do is you're selecting a new version, so it's coming down to what you believe and assume to be true. So the affirmation should never feel like that. It shouldn't feel like you're forcing anything. It needs to feel like, okay, Talzi now is stepping into new reality where she has an experience with a person that's different. So no, not a fuckboy. So if you do get a thought fuckboy, you say, not a fuckboy at all. Actually, that person, and Sammy's really good. Guys, I will never stop plugging Sammy or promoting Sammy Ingram because I think she's phenomenal. She keeps it really simple, even though I don't use robotic affirming, but like, she's just the no bullshit queen of manifesting. If you want to look at her, keeps it really, really simple. But like, then you have to say to yourself, when that person pops in your mind, you have to say, no, of course they're not a fuckboy. They are completely, or you could say they've never wanted commitment till they wanted me. Like, you can tell whatever story you want, but you've got to put yourself in that reality, knowing, guys, also, if it's come to you, it exists. You're not trying to force something into existence, and you're not trying to hope to God that it comes to you. It's in your imagination. There is only one reality, guys, and it's your imagination. Okay, that you need to, in the very least, accept if you want to apply law of assumption. Now, even for skeptics, all right, let's say you are then running every day and your cognitive bias and what you're experiencing also is coming from, even, you know, science is going to tell you, or a psychologist is going to tell you, a lot of things are subconscious. So in the end, are you going to stick with one program and one experience, or are you going to go and say, okay, what about if I say, okay, unconsciously things are popping up all the time, I'm reacting to things in a certain way, people are showing up, I'm making, you know, I'm having an experience that doesn't feel good, or am I going to say, oh, fuck all that, and I'm going to like completely change my thoughts, feed my subconscious new thoughts, reprogram what's unfavorable? Like, think about it, you know, you have your version of you, all right, and every version of you in every reality, okay, has thoughts and beliefs. So now you've got to say, okay, look, I've been running for a long time unconsciously with all these like thoughts on the daily that are connected to a version of me, and beliefs that suddenly like things are showing up and they're triggering me because it's like it hurts me. Why does it hurt you, or why is it not what you want? Because there's some kind of a belief about self, because it's a reflection of self. That's why Mary J. or versus Jessica Simpson, one isn't going to give a shit about something and another is going to give a massive shit about something, because the outside is reflecting something back that hurts or is unpleasant. Now, some of you may argue, but it's obvious this would be unpleasant. Is it? Some people would say, I wouldn't give a shit if someone said or did that. Again, guys, like, everything is so, it's relative, and it's relative to you. And I'm not saying, again, in extreme cases, of course you don't want someone to abuse you or hurt you, okay? But the abuse or the hurt, I'm not telling you or blaming you or victim shaming ever, okay? Speaking from someone that has had like toxic relationships years ago, but like the story that's connected to that. And then do we want to, and there's a story connected to that, and there may have been, or if you want to be honest with yourself, it's not that you brought it on and you deserved it. There's something within your subconscious. Like, people, this is where we can talk about self-concept. Sometimes it's like, okay, look, you might have had trauma when you were young, then you have a shitty or a low self-concept, or you've been programmed to have some kind of a low self-concept, and then you bring in a certain type of a dynamic with a person, right? I actually completely changed my life around being homeless and crack and alcohol. Oh my gosh, Darren, I love that. I love that. See, look, you're limitless. See, look, guys, congratulations, Darren, that's amazing. I'm just catching up on the comments. I wonder, can I scroll back? Perfect, Talzi. Hiya, great to see you live. How many affirmations? I think I've dealt with that. Thanks. Gosh, guys, I don't know. Now I've lost my train of thought. Guilt over 3P was hard for me until you said creation is finished. All possible versions exist right now. Okay, I need not worry about the how. We manifest and love each other. Yeah, you don't need to worry about the how, guys, but you do need to worry. So this is why I wanted to do the live about this. This whole thing around karma and, people guilty. You're not doing witchcraft and you're not fucking with people's lives. There is, if you can think of any variation of anything possible ever, and any variation of you as well, guys, because like I said, there are infinite versions of you. Like, you're changing your perceptions and who you're being all the time, or you can shift timelines. There's infinite versions in the way in which things can unfold, be. And also, guys, I know not everyone is so into, maybe the more spiritual, but I think most of you are interested, because that's why you're here, is like the whole concept of time being non-linear. Okay, past, present, and future. So there's a version of you and this person potentially that never broke up. The third party never popped up. Or guys, even if a third party did pop up, who gives a fuck? Why would the third party be the one you're going to feel guilty about, like choosing you're the one that has chosen the reality where the third party gets to have the person you want, and you're not fucking anything up by choosing a reality that's preferable. You're not, okay? You're absolutely not. And this is where I think I got really passionate about doing this live, and about, like, because I see it popping up a lot in the tarot comments, and this is why I want to use these lives from now on, is like to address like some of the repetitive comments that I'm seeing that I think are blocking people. It's like a limiting belief. If you think you're fucking up someone's life, you're fucking up someone's life. If you assume, if you're aligning, you're not here sitting here where there's a 3P and whatever, and you're saying they need to leave that 3P, blah, blah, blah. What you're doing is you're stepping into a reality where the 3P is a non-issue. And if you have manifested third-party situation, you've manifested it a lot of the time from some subconscious belief that you're not the chosen one and you're not enough. Even if they came into your reality and there already was a 3P, you've subconsciously selected that experience. And sometimes you bring in a person and then they say, hey, I don't want to be with you, and they go and marry someone else, or they pick someone else. You've also unconsciously selected it from a place of, I'm not the chosen one and I'm not enough. Anything that's blocking you from a desire that you feel you need to compete for, it's just a limiting belief, because it already exists in another reality exactly as you want it. Thank you, love. Would you consider that being aligned with non-attachment? This whole thing around attachment or non-attachment, okay, it's natural. You naturally have non-attachment when you are in a state of having that which you desire. Okay, guys? So this is why, so the repetitions in the affirmations, you're not affirming. This is actually like a very commonly thrown around, affirming like a banshee. I've heard a number of coaches say it, and I don't know where it came from, but I like it. Like, you're not affirming like a banshee. That's attachment. You're doing it like, he wants me, he wants me, he wants me. He doesn't want her, he wants me. So you are doing affirmations and techniques to get in a place of non-attachment, because, so thinking from the end, all right, which is your state of consciousness. So there is a version of you that has that which you desire. There is a version of you right now in existence that is with your specific person, and you're madly in love, and you have the best relationship, and they're loyal and it's committed, and they treat you like a queen or a king or whatever the hell it is you want. And to get you into that place where that feels natural, there's techniques. Okay, so whatever those techniques are that get you into that state, it needs to be also very personal to you, which is why I can't sit here and tell you, do 5,000 if you believe you need to do 5,000 affirmations a day. Well, first and foremost, that sounds like fucked, because your whole day is horrible, but I'm not going to tell you it's right or wrong. If it feels good for you, do it. Okay, but it's like, what about if you just said, I'm going to pick something that works for me, and I'm going to, with the knowing that I am tapping I'm accessing something that already exists. I wouldn't want it if it didn't already exist. A preferable version of my person, it already exists. I'm making an assumption that person shows up that way because that already exists. I'm not sitting here in this reality where something has collapsed or I have a negative assumption and I'm trying to finagle and manipulate it by doing a shitload of affirmations like, no, they are not this and that. They're not a fuckboy. They're not married to so-and-so. Do you understand what I'm saying, guys? I felt that connection deep and so did she. I still feel her and get synchronization of numbers daily. It's mad. Sure. And guys, soul connection's real. And so this is where, you know, the mystic and, the law of assumption community doesn't necessarily like to focus on soulmates and all the, I don't like the labels, and the reason why I don't like the labels is because I think you are the operant power always, and I think that what the spiritual tarot community has done with these labels is they have, again, that what they've done is they've put, it's actually emphasizing separation from you and your desire, and it's getting you very fixated on you know, terms like, is this a lesson? Is this person my twin flame? Is this person my soulmate? If you fucking feel like this person is the love of your life and your soulmate, or even if you feel they are your twin flame, I don't care about any narratives like, oh, they have to work through their issues, or you met, you know, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Fuck it in a bucket. If you think that person is the love of your life and your soulmate or your twin flame, why the hell should you not have it? The only reason why you would believe you would not have it is because they're reflecting back to you that you believe you shouldn't or couldn't. And sometimes that, again, guys, this is programming and your awareness. So just say you then go into a community or you're watching tarot all the time and it's telling you this person needs to heal and you need to heal. And in divine timing, they will leave a karmic. And when they have learned their lessons and when they have, it's just like, everyone is you pushed out and infinite versions exist. So if you, and again, if you believe it, and again, this is where, guys, pay attention to your focus. What are you paying attention? So like, where are your thoughts going? And we're being programmed a lot. So we've also been programmed to feel guilty for wanting what we want. You might have an individual story. I don't get what I want, or the people that I want don't want me, or there's so many variations of anything, right, that you can imagine. But again, I told you, do you need to dig so deep to always question why things are showing up? Look, shadow work is great, okay? If you've been having repetitive cycles with a person or in your love life, right? Like just say you say, oh, I always get a player, or only the people I want don't want me. Okay, recognize that that's like, it's not the first time it's ever happened. It's happened to you 10 times, or it keeps happening. Now that could be an amalgamation of subliminal fucking programming, to be perfectly honest with you guys. Stop watching TikTok videos or your YouTubes from dating coaches that are like, you know, 10 signs he's not into you, or when he doesn't write back after a day, he's just not that into you. I mean, like, guys, it can be that, or it could be something a lot deeper. You could have had experiences when you were younger, and then you had a low self-concept, and then, you know, it could be as simple as maybe your mother said, you can't have nice things, and then somehow you transferred that onto your relationships, and now you feel like what you want, you're not deserving of. Who really gives a flying fuck in the end of the day, guys? That's what I'm trying to say to you. If you believe you have to endlessly unravel and like work through everything, well, that's also a belief. So then every time your 3D reality seemingly has not reflected what you have specifically affirmed, which by the way, once you've affirmed it, you fucking have it. So you need to accept that. But if you're in that mentality, this is what happens when you waver. You go, I have him. And then I told you, I gave you the example early in the live where we're looking around the room. My room doesn't look different, but I'm confident. I'm like, of course I have him because I said so, right? So then I'm looking around my room, and then what's the mentality? oh, why didn't he text me right now? Well, first of all, you're in the state of a person that doesn't really believe you have them. And secondly, you might say, oh, it's because I must have a lot of work to do. It's my self-concept. I'm fucked up. What about the belief that your self-concept is fucking on point, that you're perfect, okay? That you don't need to fix anything, that actually everything is... Naya and I talked about this, guys, so if you want to go back and look at the last live that we did about when the 3D seems to show you opposite, or when the 3D seems to show no movement, first and foremost, once you've already made a decision, we're constantly shifting. There is always constant movement. Your thoughts, okay, that's movement already. Your consciousness. As soon as you shift your awareness, you're already on a new timeline. So there's movement. You don't need to worry. I also talked about thought transmission. So as soon as you start actually projecting new thoughts onto your SP, they get the ping, you're in a timeline, they will naturally, and you're not manipulating them. Go and watch the video that I posted earlier in the week if you haven't already. It's not too long, but it's like, and Neville Goddard talks about this. They're going to receive the thoughts in a reality. It's feeling natural to them, and they're going to show up very naturally. There's a version of them that thinks and feels that way, or it wouldn't be coming to you. You wouldn't think and feel that way if there wasn't a match and a resonance in this infinite quantum field. If you wanted to, you would. Is the worst one that keeps you awake. Fuck that. Fuck it in a bucket, guys. I know I say that in my reading. Stop this crap. See, there's so much programming, guys. You need to pay attention to this. And you know, the thing is, right, then you might say, this is where we talked about cognitive bias. So there's Mary J, and then there's Jessica Simpson. And I also brought up this analogy with Naya in a live. Mary J might have some limiting beliefs already about love, and then she's scrolling on TikTok, or she's had like a shitty experience. Again, where did that come from? Trauma from childhood, or something else that was projected in her physical in one state of consciousness. Then she's scrolling on TikTok and she's seeing something, again, reinforced, and her cognitive bias is there in that version of her, and it's confirming something. And then you've got Jessica Simpson. It either won't pop up in her reality at all, or she'll scroll past it and not even notice it. Do you understand what's going on, guys? Social media is the key. What's this? That's exactly what happens to me. I think he loves me and he wants me, then watch a video on TikTok. If you wanted to, no, fuck it. Stop it, Elena. No. So I just gave you the example. So it's a reinforcement. So whether you would argue from the mystic's point of view that you're manifesting it as in it's only popping up, we've also got algorithm, guys, and we've got all of that, so that, whatever. But like, you could argue that you're manifesting things into your physical that are because you're like, you know, projecting things onto the screen of space. Or you could say, if you want to talk about psychology, cognitive bias, there is Elena, another chick that doesn't even notice it. Doesn't resonate as true for her. Like, she's just like, meh, I didn't even watch that one. I scrolled past that one. But she might be looking at something else, right? Like, the economy is terrible. It's impossible for me money's scarce, or whatever the hell it is. But, you know, it's all about like, what are you paying attention to? That's great advice, Ree, overwatching YouTube. Yeah. Just knowing this, I've been trying to manifest reconciliation. Lila, you're not trying anything. This is the other thing. Decree a thing. It already exists. And guys, stop putting your desires on a pedestal. Naya actually touched on it in the last live. I want to touch on this right now. If you're the god of your fucking reality in every reality, this is the theme of the video. Stop giving people free will. You're not forcing someone anything, but you're also deciding and understanding that once you assume something, it is done, and you're not asking for it, okay? So Joseph Murphy, Neville Goddard, decree a thing. I have it, they want me. And again, that doesn't feel icky or weird when you step into the reality where you know that it's true, versus sitting and trying to manipulate a version of a reality where you don't believe it's true. It feels like shit. You're like, oh, I hope that he changes his mind and wants me. Yuck. I wish more readers would combine manifesting and tarot. I love the energy updates. I'm a psychic and full of back Talsy. Thank you. Thanks, Miss Psychic D. I tell people to stop watching me too. Yeah, exactly. Guys, never, and this is what I've been saying to you guys, even with my bi-weekly check-ins, okay? Do not come to my check-ins. I really like doing, and I love this because I've never had an opportunity to do a live one-on-one with you guys where I can at least explain my method and why I do it, okay? They're not fake, the readings. They don't have to resonate with everyone, for sure. It's collective, and I will never make up anything. It's literally channeling. However, why I break up the format and do what I do is, one, people are not robots. Okay, so yes, they're going to think and feel things. Yes, they're going to take or not take certain actions, but I'm doing it to give you guys a different perspective. So no, they're you pushed out for sure in every reality. Also think about it. I also want you guys to see that sometimes you're also, a dynamic is being created between you and a person, but also fuck it in a bucket. Why do I always say that at the end of every reading? Because I say they're going to change the way they think and feel about you because they are still you pushed out. And if you change your assumption, they're going to change, okay? So if you start saying, rather than, oh, they always do this, or they never text me first, or they're always being a twat, or they're still with a third party, well, it's reinforcement. It's just a reading into a specific version. And it is reading into circumstances, but stop giving your power away to tarot and tarot readers, okay? It's just one snapshot, and who gives a fuck, right? Like, so I like to use the reading to say, okay, one, and again, at some point you might not need that. Like, I think it's good to identify, what are you making from your subconscious? Because you've made it all, okay? Like, again, they're not robots, but you're selecting versions of situations, your whole perception, and then your actions, your inactions, your reactions, then their actions, then their reactions, the way you're perceiving their actions, all that stuff on one timeline is you pushed out. Now, for some people, also self-concept. So that's why we have, and some people get frustrated with my readings that I keep jumping around, and they go, stop apologizing for this. I'm not, but what I'm saying is like, I'm trying to get people off labels, but I'm also understanding that people have labels. There's self-concept issues, and then there's people that say they have assumptions or they've had experiences. Sure. They're like, that person showed up in my reality, in one reality, as a fucking player or as not honest. But why do I dance around it so much? Is because what I don't want you guys to do is choose whether or not you want to put your focus into changing that connection, or not even changing it, guys, stepping into another reality and making new assumptions about them. Or don't move forward in your dating life with an assumption that people act like this, people act like that, because you fucking selected and created it from some place, not victim shaming you guys. I'm Eva, love you. In theory, I understand everything. It's just a bit difficult now. We were in a healthy relationship. We still love each other, but we broke up because he went in another country. Long distance doesn't matter, babe. It's circumstantial. Think about the infinite possibility. He could call you tomorrow and be like, I'm moving back, or I need you here. Then you might be like, oh, well, now I need to change my life, or it seems impossible. Why is it impossible? Every combination of anything is possible. Not permanently, he'll come and go. Now we are 3 weeks in no contact. Stop saying no contact. Calls me every day. Calls me every single day. I'm now in the reality. I'm the version of me. I get constant contact. But guys, you've got to stop doing this from a place where you're looking at a circumstance and you're yelling at the circumstance. You're going, they're contacting me every single day, and you keep waiting for the outside to change. Do you understand the distinction? I saw a lot of people manifest their SP and they stay in different countries and live together. Anything is possible, guys. Anything. Definitely be selective of what you expose yourself to, outside influences, even people close to you. Yeah, I want to comment on this, guys, as well. And this also shows you no one has free will in your reality, because I'll tell you something. Even with like advice that I've gotten, say, like, let's not talk about romantic, although sometimes I've had advice from friends in relation to SP situation, right? Or SPs, they will flip on a fucking dime depending on my state of consciousness. they will completely shift what is coming out of their mouth, which also shows that they're a projection of a version that I'm in. So say I'm in a self-doubt, or say I'm assuming like I'm an ex-SP, right? I'm now with someone else, but like, you know, an ex-SP, it's like, at the time I was going through something and I had some negative assumptions, and they would say in that moment or that day I had negative assumptions, and then my friend gave me certain advice, and it would be like reinforcement of that. Then, and I saw that SP also, by the way, mirror and flip. They would just flip all the time depending on where my mind was. This is when I really like understood applying the law. This is when I already was consciously manifesting. And then I would go and see a friend and they would say completely opposite advice about that person. True talk. Should I say he contacts me every day? Yeah. Mariam, just say what you want and focus on that. So stop relying on your 5 senses, which is circumstances, which is 3D. Your 3D reality is an illusion. It is a manifestation of your imagination, okay? The imagination comes first, the 4D precedes the 3D, but what is shown up in your 3D is where I said earlier in the reading, in the live, guys, sorry. I said earlier in the live, your outside is like a printer. And so for whatever reason, there was a buildup of something, thought patterns that were connected to something, some fear or limiting belief, and so you went no contact. But it doesn't matter. You guys keep seeing circumstances as like, this is a thing, this is fixed. Take your awareness off the circumstances, go into the imagination. Now guys, again, this is not about chasing, forcing anything. Okay, I've also talked on previous lives about like stalking and all this kind of stuff. Now, I've been personally, I've experienced it. People trying to force themselves like obsession or stalking. I've been victim of stalking. Okay, now in theory, that person, if we're talking about parallel realities, I'm not saying in my physical current reality, what I experience, that I want them for a relationship, okay? But there might be another timeline where that person has me. But in this current reality, God knows, if they were even with me, I'm responding to a vibration. Where are they manifesting me from, okay? First of all, no one has free will in my reality except me, so I can't be manifested against my will unless I believe so. But secondly, I'm receiving an energy. So imagine this with your SP. You're not doing anything against their free will, but if you're doing it from a place where you are desperately thinking, please want me, well, of course they're not wanting you, because you're not believing that they want you anyway. Yes, my mom was like, you're waiting on your SP. I'm like, no, yeah, no, you're not even receiving, T-Rose. You fucking have it. But yes, if it helps you, I'm receiving. I'm in receiving mode, yeah. But you have it. Limerence does not exist. No, fuck limerence. Fuck it in a bucket. I'm sorry. I'm sick of all this crap. I'm sick of labels. I'm sick of all of it. Faith in what you want to see, feel. Faith in the unseen as well is really important, guys, because once you've made a decision, I already explained, you've quantum shifted, all the pieces are moving in your favor. And guys, again, it's coming down to testing it, not because you sat on the live with Talzi and she said, this is it, and then you walk away today. You guys give up really quickly and you waver and you go in and out, and then you go and watch like shitloads of, and a lot of coaches say this, you watch shitloads of lives and then you go and watch more manifesting content, and then you go, maybe my affirmations are wrong, instead of just sticking to the fucking script and the basics. And manifesting should be simple because you're manifesting anyway. You've manifested all of it. So it's just like who you're being and your thoughts and your assumptions are creating your reality. So stick to the script. I think last live, Naya was right when she said, be scientific about it. I know it can be emotional. It's going to become less and less emotional the more you accept that you're the power. So it's like, okay, I create something, I can create anything. I don't need to give so much awareness to what's undesirable. It's a projection and it's momentary because I can shift in any moment. Okay, I've already shifted with a new thought, with a new focus. Now I'm in that reality, period. And then yes, do the affirmations. Persistence is key because you want to be dominantly in the assumption of having what you want, or in the very least, guys, without the self-concept shit, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be healed and all that crap. You need to at least dominantly assume that person wants you, Or guys, you will get patchiness. I mean, I've manifested like up and down, in and out, yo-yo stuff, because I'll be like, they want me, they want me, they want me, they want me. They've come in, but then I'm like, I waver, and then they go out again, hot, cold, all these labels. So it's just showing, where's your dominant focus? What's your dominant assumption? Simplicity is key, 100%, Darren. Like, it doesn't need to be complicated, and the last thing I want is to complicate it, right? Would you ever consider doing a video teaching about each of the laws? Each of the laws, like everything, like law of assumption, law of polarity, law of gender, law of all of that. I mean, maybe, guys, I could, or Hermetic law, or the Kabbalion, maybe. I mean, yeah, I can. I think I'm in a position of waiting, and I should be in a position of receiving what I desire. Yeah, it's done. Receive what you desire. It's done. We give our power over to that what we don't want. Yes, I tell my friends we're already together. Good. Well, yes. I mean, you can do that. That's totally fine. Whatever works for you guys. I mean, I personally don't like to share my manifestations with other people, but because, well, I don't want them to have their 2 cents, because sometimes they might say something that's contrary to where my focus is. And again, that still also doesn't have to matter, because if I react to it, then that's just showing that it's triggering some old part of me, or a doubt, or a fear. But also I'm just like, I want to keep my focus on that. It's not really anyone's goddamn business what I'm manifesting, you know? Can you explain about Ho'oponopono? Yeah, Mariam. Okay, Ho'oponopono. So that's a technique, and I think it's fantastic, and I personally have done Ho'oponopono. I think Ho'oponopono, guys, you can look it up. It's Hawaiian, but it's the prayer for forgiveness, and it's and Mariam, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like, I'm sorry, I love you, forgive me. There's like 4 terms. I haven't done it in a long time. Or thank you, I love you, forgive me. But anyway, I would say, if I want to marry that into this topic, we're talking about trying to get an SP to conform, and then we're talking about what we have previously, like a lot of the time, created that's been unfavorable. So some of you have had some shitty experiences, maybe even with specific person, and you are trying to, yeah, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Yeah, that's the Ho'oponopono. I think it's really nice, because I think it does help you to energetically like let go of an old version of you and a specific person, which again, when I talk about forgiveness, guys, it's really like not this whole thing around karma or religion or any of that. Like, you literally are forgiving an old version of you that selected that experience. Okay, and I do think that that is fair and right, because of course you can manifest a specific person to come back in and beg for you, or give you an apology, or tell you all the things that you want. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. I should never have said that. A lot of the time that will happen naturally, because when we talk about quantum shifting, like say you've made a decision, I'm with that person regardless of like that they broke up with you. Well, there might be a natural progression. I mean, that person might call you up and say, hey, I made a massive mistake and I love you, and like all of that. They may even repeat back thoughts that you're having about it. If you say, I'm the best thing that ever happened to them. But if you sit here and you're really resentful about situations, you're still in a timeline where you created the situation. Again, not victim shaming, but you created that situation, and you have triggers, and you have resentment and pain, and the trigger and the pain is coming from a story you have about yourself, or it wouldn't be painful. Okay, you guys really need to start thinking of it that way. Like, no one has power over you to your story. They do not have free will in your story about you, okay, and what you assume. But then what happens is their behavior, you have an assumption about them, which again is a reflection of you. So no one has free will. So if you change your assumption about them or anyone in your life, they must show up differently. And guys, have fucking fun with the law. Why don't you start testing this? Why don't you start saying, okay, like if you're used to take things that are maybe less emotional as well, to give yourself confidence in the law. Like, what about someone that you know that is rude? or someone, or pick random things, or someone that you know doesn't like something normally. Say you have a friend that like doesn't ever eat jelly snakes. But guys, who knows? Be like, oh my God, that's her favorite lolly. Or, you know, Susan, I don't know why I picked Susan, guys. Susan at work is always rude. Why don't you start saying, Susan loves me. Susan is so friendly. You know, the law works for everything. That's right, DSM 2000, that's right. Can this work for health? Sarah, yeah, look, I'm not going to be irresponsible, you guys. I'm not sitting here and I'm telling you, like, don't go to doctors and all of that. Like, okay, but if you read The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, Joseph Murphy actually talks a lot about health. And if you want to know my theory on it, it's like, and I've definitely still gone to doctor and still had treatment and stuff when I've had a problem. But I'm conscious of the fact that your body is also a mirror. And the truth of the matter is, it's come from something within your subconscious, and then your body is reacting to that, and then there's an illness. And just as your thoughts, and Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about a lot too, and I know that's it's controversial, that your thoughts can make you sick, your thoughts can make you well. But yes, I would advise with health stuff, of course, rather than saying I'm sick, regardless of whether you're taking medicine or not medicine, you should say I'm well, or I'm healing. Now, obviously, I can't say, I'm not a doctor, but like, yes, your body, theoretically, your thoughts can heal you. And yes, you can jump into a parallel reality where you're healed and you're healthy. The law will work for anything, but guys, this is not my area. So you know why I'm being cautious. Will you consider doing the tongue is the rudder if the ship spec power over your life? You're reading my mind. The law works for everything. That's it. Will you consider doing a teaching series on each of the laws and other specific topics, please? Yes. So Linda, thank you. Because I am going to wrap up pretty soon, guys, because we're at 70 minutes. I've got somewhere I've got to be. I really want a friend. Oh, thank you, Marianne. Well, we're friends already. I'm going to wrap up, guys, but I want to ask you. So yes, I want to do more teaching. I'm going to also start doing some members lives. I'm going to also eventually in the future do some course content, but I need some time. That's going to be next year. Question, as far as lives, what is the preferable day and time for people? Do you have examples of manifestations happen for you? Yes. I've manifested money out of thin air, or also even lottery tickets and scratch, guys. I told myself I always win. I always win. I bought a scratch. I won $1,000 on scratch, just as an example. I'd never previously in my life before conscious manifesting ever won any money. I've done complete 180s with certain family members. I've changed my entire, I've re-scripted my relationship with my family. I manifested gifts of money. I've changed my dynamics with specific person. I've literally had strangers in the street parrot back to me things that I start telling myself all the time. Again, I'm a bit private, so I'm not going to necessarily tell you everything that I've said or what's happened between me and SPs or anything like that. But yes, I've had a lot of success, and that's why I'm asking you guys to start fucking testing the law. I'm in London, England, so as long as I'm not sleeping, thank you. Yeah, I'm winning the Euro Million. Yeah, fuck yeah, Darren, you are. Why not? Thank you, Tulsi. What a refreshing conversation. Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Miss Psychic D. I appreciate all the support. Well, guys, I love you so much. I mean, I really hope that helped. We did sort of skip around, but I think that in essence, no one has free will in your reality. And I hope that I kind of reinforce that and that makes sense to you. And just take back the power. I say in every single reading, nothing to lose, we will start now. I'm Oregon, same time zone, so any afternoon. Good. Okay. Cool. I'm from the Isle of Wight, UK, mate. All right, Darren. That's cool. And I'm from Australia, a colony. Kiss, hug, kiss, hug. Okay, guys. All right. I love you guys so much. I will post the live replay, and I hope you have the most amazing, it's Friday here in the US, so I hope you guys, maybe Saturday where some of you are, I don't know. But I hope you have the most amazing weekend, and I really love you guys a lot, and thank you for joining me, okay? And I hope it helped, and I'll see you guys very soon. Mwah!